in progress.
Wake up. It's the Sleep Unplugged podcast, episode 79, the 2023 Sleep Unplugged Awards. I'm winning, and I don't intend on losing again. Welcome, everyone, to the 2023 Sleep Unplugged Awards and the Sleep Unplugged podcast. My name is Chris Winter. I'm a neurologist and sleep specialist and your host for what's going to be a really fun year-end episode. It's now a tradition to use the last episode of the year to talk about people within the world of sleep and recognize their amazing efforts in a fun and lighthearted way. We did this last year. I really enjoyed it. We recognized people in some categories. We've added a few categories this year, and everybody who wins is going to get the official Sleep Unplugged trucker hat as their award. Highly coveted, highly sought after, as you can imagine. So this will be the last episode of the year. If you want to get in touch with the podcast, you can do that at any time via our social media, Dr. Chris Winter Twitter, Dr. Chris Winter Instagram, Dr. Chris Winter TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky. You can also get in touch with us through our YouTube page. We have a Sleep Unplugged YouTube page as well. We always start the show off with comments, corrections, criticisms. This week, we had a viewer or listener write in and say, "Hey, Dr. Chris, I hope you don't mind me asking a quick question since you seem like such an expert in your field and friendly and kind. I've been taking a small dose of Zoloft and now switched to Lexapro. Since the pandemic, I've noticed every time I wake up, whether it's in the AM or multiple times at night, for as long as I can remember, I can recall the dream I've just had. I'm not too tired during the day and I'm otherwise okay. Is this normal? I've started to feel like I'm nuts, but after reading some info from you, it's helped me to feel like maybe this is just a side effect. I literally cannot open my eyes without remembering a dream, even if it's 4 times in one morning." Well, thank you, Kim. I think dreaming is an interesting thing to pay attention to. We did an episode on dreaming a while back. I don't remember exactly when we did it. It wasn't too long ago, but dreaming is an interesting thing. We all tend to do it, whether we remember it or not. We did one on lucid dreaming, I think, episode 58. But I think dreaming can serve as a quality indicator sometimes for our sleep, meaning that we shouldn't be awakening and remembering our dreams that often. So when somebody says to me, "Hey, I wake up, sometimes and I remember a dream," no problem. When somebody starts to say, "I'm waking up over and over and over again, and every time having sort of vivid recollections of my dreaming," it can indicate that an individual is sort of selectively waking up during REM sleep. We've talked about the breathing changes that happen when we're in REM sleep. So it could be indicating that somebody has a predilection to have difficulty breathing during REM sleep. And so every time you wake up during REM sleep, you wake up during a time when you were struggling to breathe. So Kim, it could be that you're normal. I like what she throws in there. She goes, "I feel okay during the day." So that's probably a good sign. But if somebody was saying, "Look, I do feel kind of tired, run down, fatigued, sleepy during the day," or you just wanted to get investigated, I think this is a reasonable thing to talk to a doctor about and say, "Hey, look, I am struggling a little bit with my sleep. I tend to wake up a lot dreaming. Is this a reason to have an overnight sleep study? Um, uh, is this a reason to have an overnight sleep study to evaluate the nature of my sleep?" So Kim, I think this is a great thing to talk to your primary care doctor about and find out if a sleep study might be right for you. So before we get into our award show, I do want to talk about the music that we selected for this podcast. "I'm winning and I don't intend on losing again" is a song from Santana. This was a song off their 12th album, Zabop, that was released in 1981. And I chose it for a couple of reasons. One, it's sort of a personal favorite of mine. I'm not a huge Santana fan, but I do like this song. I also like it because for decades, whenever I heard this song, I thought it was a Journey song, and I thought that was Steve Perry singing it. And I was shocked one time when on my Spotify, or maybe it was like Sirius XM, the song came up and I looked down and it said Santana. And Sure enough, it is a Santana song, like I said, released in '81, and the singer is not Steve Perry, it's Alex Lighterwood. And this was a song that was written by somebody else. I don't remember who it was written by, but whoever wrote it was kind of a songwriter, and he released an album. And this was a re-release or a re-recording of the song by Santana. They covered the song, released in '81. And it's interesting that I've always thought it was Journey because Journey and Santana have a lot of connections. In fact, Neil Schon, who sort of founded Journey, and Greg Raleigh, their keyboardist and original lead singer, played in the group Santana up until I think they left sometime after their second album. So now we're on the 12th album of Santana with a completely different lead singer, yet I thought it sounded a lot like Steve Perry and Journey. Um, and I love the whole history of Journey. I'm so glad they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Neil Schon, Greg Raleigh, one of their original drummer was a drummer from the Tubes, who, when the Tubes got back together, he left almost immediately and was replaced by Ainsley Dunbar, who actually was the drummer for David Bowie, a little bit on Aladdin Sane, was the primary drummer for Pinups, and also worked on his album Diamond Dog. So once again, we've related things back to David Bowie. Everybody knows Greg Raleigh was the lead singer up until '77 when they recruited literally a farmer from the Midwest named Steve Perry, who joined in '77. And one of my favorite songs of Journey that has nothing to do with sleep is Feeling That Way Too. Just because the original song is written by Greg Raleigh, I believe. He sings the first part of it. And then Steve Perry comes in and sings the chorus, and just the differences in their vocals is just incredible. And I think Raleigh felt that pressure, and after 3 years, he left and made way for the Journey that we're all kind of familiar with. So, love the song. It's one of those songs where up until relatively recently thought it was a completely different band. It's like the James Gang song "Walk Away." I was certain was an Eagles song until the kind of the same thing happened. So, if there is a song out there that you thought was sung by a group or an artist and up until recently had no idea and then found out, wow, this is not who I thought it was, I'd love to hear that song from you. So, salute to Journey, salute to Santana. They're on our list now. So, let's get into our awards. First award this year will be our social media award winner. And this is an individual who is out there on social media pushing for excellent information about sleep, has the chops and the education to do it. This woman is a Penn trained sleep specialist, is a pulmonologist, has experience with both adults and kids. And I really think her content is outstanding and excellent. And so the 2023 award for Social Media Warrior goes to Dr. Funke Afolabi Brown. She can be found on Instagram at Restful Sleep Med. And I really invite you all to follow her and the information she's putting out there. She is working hard to make that information digestible to people and make sure that healthy sleep is pervasive and the norm, not the exception. Congratulations, Dr. Brown. Your hat is on the way. Our next award is for the Sleep Outsider Award. And Diane Macedo won this last year. I sort of created this award as somebody who's not really in the field of sleep, but their interest in it and enthusiasm for it is making a difference. And I'm going to award the 2023 Sleep Outsider Award to Tommy Tucker. Tommy Tucker is a radio host at WWL Radio in New Orleans. And about once a month, I get a call from his producer. And the call is basically, hey, Tommy really wants to talk about sleep and wants to have you on the show. So about once a month, I get up early so I can be on his show. And we talk about sleep. We talk about things related to sleep in the media. We answer questions from the WWL listeners. And he just shows so much enthusiasm for the topic. He's a consistent advocate of sleep. So, Tommy, your hat's in the mail. Congratulations. I really appreciate the advocacy and the enthusiasm for sleep information that you bring to the table. Our next award is for the Sleep Vanguard organization. Now, last year, we awarded it to the Philadelphia Phillies. So this year, I thought we would make a little change and we would keep the Sleep Vanguard organization, but we'd also create a new category, Sleep Sports Organization, and kind of divide those two. So this was a tough one this year because there are two organizations that I'm aware of that are not directly involved in sleep, but are really pushing good information about sleep out there. One is Precision Nutrition. They are a company that's always putting out great information about nutrition. And over the last few years have really tried to do the same thing with sleep to their members. And when I work with a lot of sports teams, they do a lot of certifications for athletic trainers and people who are in that industry. And they actually created their own sleep sort of certification for people in that fitness and fitness coaching realm. Frequently have talks. They're really tight with Dr. Jennifer Martin, who's amazing, and often have her on there to answer questions about sleep related to the individuals who are members and coaches within their organization. So I want to give a salute to them, but my award for the 2023 Vanguard organization is MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal is an app that is available out there for tracking the food that you eat. I think it's the biggest, nutrition app out there. It's been around for a long time. And recently, they created a feature with their app that allows their food tracking to sync up with your sleep wearable and give you information about, hey, when you drink a lot of alcohol, or hey, when you eat a lot of food right before you go to bed, this is what it's doing to your sleep. So I really like the idea that they not only kind of dove into the sleep space, but really trying to give people actionable information that they can use to help with their sleep. So the 2023 Sleep Vanguard organization this year is MyFitnessPal. Congratulations, you all are doing a great job of getting information out there, not only about sleep, but also the relationship between sleep and nutrition. I think people today understand nutrition is important. I think people understand today that sleep is important. And I really like the idea that they're trying to put forward is that our sleep influences our nutritional choices, and what we eat tends to influence the way we sleep. And if you don't believe us, get our app, wear your wearable, and start looking at your own relationships between food and sleep and see what you can sort of understand from that. So I can tell you, hey, hummus has got a lot of tryptophan in it. So if you need a snack before you go to bed, why don't you have hummus? And why don't you avoid a lot of alcohol before you go to bed? But they're really trying to make that meaningful to the individual so you can see the changes in scores on your own app. So give that app a try and see what you think about that. I mentioned before that we had sort of split out the Vanguard organization and sports organization. I thought those were a natural split. So we have a new category this year, and that is sleep sports organization. And that can be any group who's dealing with athletes at the college level or above. And so my two finalists this year were the Wabash University Athletic Department. The Wabash had me come out to their university for 2 days and talk to sports organizations, sports leaders, the students out there, many of whom play sports. And we're just basically all in with sports organization and sports and sleep relationships. And I don't think I've ever been hosted in a much kinder and friendlier way than Wabash University. And I got to do a talk in their chapel. You can find it if you look up Wabash University Sleep Winter Chapel Talk on YouTube. You can find it. And they asked me, said, we're going to put together just sort of a spontaneous talk, and you can get up there and talk for 20 or 30 minutes to the people who come. And I remember walking into their university chapel and thinking, wow, there's a lot of seats here. I'm not sure we're going to be filling this for just a spontaneous, hey, we got some donuts out front, come listen to some random sleep doctor talk. It was packed, absolutely packed, as was the lecture we had done the night before in their auditorium, their performance hall. I mean, standing room only. So I wanted to recognize them as the by a hair runner-up. But my winner of the Sleep Sports Organization inaugural award has to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have been an initial and early adopter of sleep medicine. How it has to do with their GM Sam Presti and Donnie Strack, who runs their medical team. And I have worked with them for, I think, 15 years at this point. They're incredible and really, really, really want to understand sleep at the most basic level to the highest level. They really care about the sleep of not only their athletes, but their organization. They do research on sleep within their organization. I'm so fortunate to have any relationship with that team whatsoever. I just think they're amazing, and they've had success. They know how to develop the health of their players in their entirety. And the last time I checked, they're sitting at number 2 in the Western Conference after last season, when nobody predicted them to win much of anything. They actually went to the playoffs. So easy choice for the Sleep Sports Organization. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder. Your hat's on the way, Tawny. 2 more awards that I want to give out. I'm sorry, we'll do 3 more. Here's another new episode, or another new category I wanted to add this year. Or maybe we got a few more than 2. Another new category I wanted to add this year was the sleep podcast. I've gotten so much positive feedback and interest in sleep that I worry that if you're a listener of the Sleep Unplugged podcast, that when you listen to my weekly episode, you're sitting there in your car, you still have another 20 minutes left or 30 minutes in your commute, and you're thinking, that was great. That was an incredible podcast about sleep that Chris put together, but I wish I had a little more sleep to tide me over right now. And so if that's what you're looking for, my 2 finalists for this award were the Sleep Research podcast that's hosted by Jesse Cook. You can find him at Sleep in Sports. Outstanding job that he does, really diving into more the research angle about sleep. I love listening to his podcast. I think he does a great job. But the 2023 Sleep Podcast of the Year award is going to go to Talking Sleep with Seema Khosla. Seema is a sleep specialist in North Dakota. She is the medical director of the North Dakota Sleep Center and a good buddy, a wealth of knowledge about sleep. And I was honored to be a guest on one of her podcast episodes a couple years ago, maybe one of the first ones. And at one point, maybe one of the most popular ones, according to Seema. But she's a great sleep buddy. She does a fantastic job on that podcast. It's really well put together by the American Academy of Sleep Medicine. Just want to give a shout out, because if you're listening to my podcast and you consider yourself a sleep connoisseur, you need to go top shelf and grab a little Talking Sleep with Dr. Khosla. I'm going to send Seema a trucker hat she can wear up there in North Dakota proudly, and really appreciate and inspired by the efforts that you all put together there. And if you're thinking, well, what about Matt Walker's podcast? Why doesn't he get nominated? I think if you got 38 million listeners on your podcast, you're excluded from the Sleep Unplugged Podcast of the Year award. You've already won, baby. Matt, we're looking at you. I hope you're having a great holiday. All right, so we're down to 3 more awards. The next award is Best Insomnia Advice. I think this is an important award, and I'm giving this award to Dr. Jade Wu. You can find her at Dr._Jade_Wu, undergraduate at Cornell, doctorate, I believe, at BU, did her fellowship in sleep at Duke, and she's down in Raleigh right now. Amazing person. She could have won the Sleep Social Media Award easily, and she could have won the Book of the Year award, which is coming up. Not to ruin the surprise, but I think that Jade is a really fantastic insomnia specialist, and I really look up to her in terms of the work that she does. She wrote a book called Hello Sleep, and it was one of our finalists for the Book of the Year. I think it's outstanding. It could easily have won. We're just kind of playing around here. But I really felt like for people who are struggling with insomnia and you've read my book and it wasn't your cup of tea, I think Jade's is a wonderfully positive, caring voice that she has in her book on insomnia. And so if you're really struggling or know somebody who is, I think Hello Sleep would be a great purchase for you. So Jade, you came in second for the book of the year. I'm so sorry. It was down to just a couple votes. But we're excited to give you the Best Insomnia Advice Award and give a spotlight out to your book, Hello Sleep, which is really outstanding. So we'll move on to the book of the year, which I'm going to award to Dr. Abhinav Singh and Charlotte, who co-wrote it with Charlotte Jensen. And the book is called Sleep to Heal. I think it's a really fresh take on sleep. I love the title, Sleep to Heal. It really kind of speaks to the fundamental role that sleep plays in our body. And I really think I think they did a great job on the book. And Dr. Singh is actually the medical director of the Indiana Sleep Center. Super nice guy, one of my favorite people in sleep. And I'm really excited to not only talk about his book, but to award him the trucker hat. And Charlotte, we're going to send you one too. So there's 2 trucker hats going after this one since there are 2 authors for the book. Really appreciate your all's voice. Appreciate the fact that you took the time to write such a fantastic book. Finally, our final award is the Sleep Crusader Award. Karin Johnson won it last year, friend of the show, one of our faves out there who's just battling nonstop for, the adoption of standard time, et cetera, et cetera. This was an easy one. I was invited to speak out at the Aspen Ideas Conference this year, which was a wonderful treat and honor, and was able to interact with and speak with another individual in the sleep space. Julie Flagar, I believe, is an attorney who has narcolepsy and is a tireless educator and advocate for not only patients who have narcolepsy and understanding what that means in the community, but also just for sleep in general. I mean, I looked at her Twitter account at one point, and she's up there with her group called Project Sleep, and they're at the White House, and she's up there with Michael Grandner and all these amazing sleep people, testifying in front of Congress and saying, look, you got to pay attention to sleep, and this is what sleep is costing our society, and this is what it means if we don't invest in good sleep education and advocacy. And she's just constantly doing that kind of stuff. I sit down and record this podcast once a week. The rest of the time, I'm just hanging out, having fun, taking care of numero uno, if you know what I mean. Not Julie. Julie is crushing it and is everywhere. She's at the World Sleep Congress, and she's at the APSS meeting, and she's just everywhere sleep is being discussed. And I'm just in awe of her, and she's sacrifices a lot to do it. She wrote a fantastic book a while back called Wide Awake and Dreaming. I tell every one of my patients that I think might have narcolepsy or some hypersomnia that it's required reading. And it's really changed the lives of a lot of people. So our 2023 Sleep Crusader Awards, Julie Flagar, and really excited to give that to you. You do a lot of great things. It was an honor to share the stage with you in Aspen. So that's it. That wraps up not only the 2023 Sleep Unplugged Award show, but also 2023. This episode's going to come out midnight on Christmas. So I hope if you're listening to it, you are having or had a wonderful Christmas. To everyone else, happy holidays. I think we should all take a little moment, and if you're a praying kind of person or if you're a reflective kind of person, to think about people who are suffering, people who are struggling. The state of the world is tough right now. A lot of people who are displaced and dealing with horrors that one could not believe, and that's not the greatest thing for sleep. So I think about peace and harmony and our abilities to get together and live as one collective at this time of year, and hope that 2024 brings prosperity, peace, and great sleep to your household. That's it. This is Dr. Chris Winter. Find me on Dr. Chris Winter, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Threads. Go to Spotify and find the Sleep Unplugged Spotify playlist. We'll put some Santana songs on there, and maybe the James Gang song will sneak on there as well too. And until 2024, sleep well.